This morning, behind closed doors, President Trump and Putin are shaping a ceasefire deal that could redefine Ukraine's future. With territorial contentions on the table and global powers watching, is this diplomacy or a dangerous betrayal? Well, this and many more will be detailed in today's Flash News. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. Bringing you updates on Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. A major shift in the Ukraine war may be on the way after President Donald Trump has made a lot of statements concerning the Russia and Ukraine war. Vladimir Putin and agreed to begin negotiations for a ceasefire. The move has triggered alarm in Kyiv and across Europe, as the proposed terms appear to heavily favor Moscow, raising questions about Ukraine's sovereignty, NATO's role, and the broader implications for global security. Trump described his phone conversation with Putin as lengthy and highly productive, stating that they both agreed to start negotiations immediately. In a social media post, he revealed plans for a reciprocal visit between Washington and Moscow, marking the first such meetings between a U.S. and Russian leader in over a decade. As we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine, Trump wrote. He later confirmed that Saudi Arabia would be the location for their first in-person talks. While the announcement has been framed as a step forward peace, Trump's stance on Ukraine's territorial integrity has raised concerns. Speaking to reporters, he signaled a willingness to recognize Russian control over occupied regions. Russia took a lot of the land and they fought for that land and lost a lot of soldiers, he said. I'm just here to try and get peace. His remarks suggest that Kyiv may be pressured into making territorial concessions, a scenario that Ukraine has repeatedly rejected. Could this be a fair one or not a so fair one for Ukraine? Take a look.
We had a great call, and it lasted for a long time, over an hour this morning. I also had with President Zelensky a very good call after that. And I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed. We're very far away from that particular war, but that's a vicious war. Probably 1.5 million soldiers killed in a short period of time. I've never seen anything. I have pictures that are, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe what you have to look at. Young, beautiful soldiers that are just being decimated. And it would be nice to end it immediately. But we had a very good talk with, people didn't really know what President Putin's thoughts were, but I think I can say with great confidence he wants to see it ended also. That's good. And we're going to work toward getting it ended and as fast as possible. It's a horrible situation going over. It's flat land, and the bullet goes off, and the only thing it can hit is a body, a human body, a young human body. And they're losing just tremendous numbers of mostly soldiers. Just the cities and towns have been largely demolished. It's a shame what's happened to that country. It would have never happened if I were president. That I can tell you. Would have never happened. It's to look at that. And October 7th would have never happened either, by the way.
President Trump there. This reflects the charisma and unrelentless leader as Trump exudes. Meanwhile, the U.S. negotiating position outlined by top officials emphasizes the need for Ukraine to accept that regaining all its occupied territories is unrealistic, We must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective, a senior U.S. official stated. This statement has fueled concerns that Washington may be preparing to accept Russia's control over Crimea and part of the Donbass as part of a settlement. Trump also hinted at a transactional approach to continued U.S. support for Ukraine, proposing that Kyiv offer rare earth minerals and other natural resources in exchange for military aid. We are going to have all this money in there, and I say I want it back, he said. I told him that I want the equivalent, like $500 million worth of rare earth. This stance has added further uncertainty over America's long-term commitment to Ukraine's defense. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky acknowledged the talks, but made clear that Ukraine's position remains unchanged. No one wants peace more than Ukraine, he stated, while calling for real peace and effective security guarantees. However, he expressed concerns that a deal brokered without Kyiv's full involvement could undermine Ukraine's sovereignty. Zelensky's government is also closely watching U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who are set to meet with Ukrainian officials at the upcoming Munich Security Conference. Additionally, Keith Kellogg, previously named Trump's special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, is expected to arrive in Kyiv soon to discuss potential diplomatic solutions. Meanwhile, European leaders have reacted with skepticism and alarm, fearing that Ukraine's fate is being decided without their input. European foreign ministers gathered in Paris with officials emphasizing that any peace agreement must involve European participation. There will be no just and lasting peace in Ukraine without the participation of Europeans, a senior diplomat stated. The fear among European allies is that a U.S.-Russia agreement could lead to a weakened, neutralized Ukraine, leaving the region vulnerable to further Russian aggression. One diplomat described the U.S. position as a premature surrender, warning that making concessions now would only encourage Moscow to demand more. Despite the rush to start talks, few analysts believe a breakthrough is imminent. Russia continues to press forward on the battlefield, gaining ground in Ukraine's east and south. Reports suggest that Moscow is seeking not only territorial concessions but also Ukraine's formal demilitarization and a guarantee that it will never join NATO. For Ukraine, the key question remains whether its Western allies will stand firm in supporting its independence or whether the drive for a quick resolution will lead to compromise that alter the balance of power in Europe. As negotiations begin to take shape, all eyes will be on the coming meetings between U.S., Russian, and Ukrainian officials. The outcome could determine not just Ukraine's future, but the broader stability of the region and the credibility of Western alliances. Well, moving over to Musk's Doge and bringing you update on the report. Elon Musk took center stage at the White House, appearing alongside President Donald Trump to defend his controversial Department of Government Efficiency Doge initiative, which has aggressively reshaped the federal government. Speaking from the Oval Office, Musk asserted that his team was operating with maximum transparency, a claim that sharply contrasts with the secrecy surrounding its operations. Standing next to Trump at the Resolute desk, Musk reiterated accusations of corruption within government agencies, particularly targeting the now dismantled USAID. Without providing evidence, he alleged that officials had accepted kickbacks and amassed tens of millions in personal wealth while in office. Despite his claims, the inner workings of the Doge team remain largely hidden. Reports indicate that many of its staffers, whose exact number is unknown, operate without revealing their true identities, using only first names when interacting with career officials. Moreover, Musk himself has classified his role as a special government employee, a status that shields his financial disclosures from public view. We are actually trying to be as transparent as possible, Musk stated, pointing to updates on the social media platform X. I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. However, investigations have revealed that Musk has actively worked to suppress scrutiny. He has reportedly pushed to keep Doge staffers anonymous, going so far as to demand the firing of a journalist who identified one staffer with a history of racist posts. Musk's appearance coincided with Trump signing new executive orders aimed at implementing Doge's workforce optimization initiative, a policy designed to slash hiring across federal agencies. The move is part of a broader effort by the administration to streamline government operations, though it could weaken essential institutions. Let's watch.
Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems
I mean, look, OpenAI is not for sale. The OpenAI mission is
to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption, and it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy, because we spend a lot of money on defense. But if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
We thought that we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest, and we watched that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous, and we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse.
Elon Musk there, assuring us of the transparency with the Doge initiative. Well, despite holding unchecked power over Doge, Musk downplayed concerns of conflicts of interest, particularly regarding agencies that regulate his businesses or hold major contracts with his companies. When asked about potential influence over government contracts, he dismissed the issue. First of all, I'm not the one filing the contract. It's the people at SpaceX or something. Musk also brushed off concerns about moving too aggressively, suggesting that any errors would be swiftly corrected. Nobody is going to bat 1,000. We all make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. Musk's actions, however, have already faced legal pushback. Over the weekend, a federal judge issued an injunction blocking Doge from accessing Treasury Department payment systems, a move meant to prevent unauthorized interference with government funds. Rather than complying, Musk hinted at resisting the ruling, amplifying social media posts that questioned whether the order should be obeyed at all. This defiance adds to concerns that Doge is not only operating outside traditional government norms, but is also willing to challenge the judicial system itself. Could this be true? Well, Musk's Doge initiative has rapidly dismantled long-standing bureaucratic structures, eliminating positions and consolidating control. While the administration frames the overhaul as a move toward efficiency, it is argued that it could weaken oversight, reduce accountability, and grant disproportionate power to unelected individuals like Musk. As the White House doubles down on cost-cutting measures, the implication of Doge's unchecked expansion remain uncertain. Whether Musk's vision of a streamlined government prevails or faces further legal and institutional resistance, the battle over federal governance is far from over. Well, moving forward, an AI power struggle. A high-stakes battle for control over OpenAI has erupted after Elon Musk and a consortium of investors launched a $97.4 billion takeover bid for the artificial intelligence powerhouse. The move, which comes amid growing concerns over AI regulation and competition, has been firmly rejected by OpenAI's chief executive, Sam Altman, who declared that the company is not for sale. Speaking at the Paris AI Summit, where what leaders and tech executives have gathered to discuss the future of artificial intelligence, Altman dismissed Musk's attempt as an unwelcome interference in OpenAI's mission. The board will decide what to do there, but the company is not for sale. Neither is the mission, he stated. Let's watch.
I mean, look, OpenAI is not for sale. The OpenAI mission is not for sale. Elon tries all sorts of things for a long time. This is this week's episode. I think he's probably just trying to slow us down. He obviously is a competitor. He's working hard and he's raised a lot of money for XAI, and they're trying to compete with us from a technological perspective, from getting the product into the market. And I wish he would just compete by building a better product, but I think there's been a lot of tactics, many lawsuits, all sorts of other crazy stuff. Now we're not sure what we're going to do at all, but no matter what, the nonprofit will continue to be extremely important. It will drive the mission. It will continue to exist. The board is looking at lots of options about how to best structure for this next phase, but the nonprofit is not changing into anything or going anywhere. People are still talking about safety, but really I think people are now saying, okay, this technology is here, it's having an incredible impact, we've got to drive it. There is a lot of questions about how people can, maybe the most common question I've gotten is, can you do a Stargate in my country?
Elon Musk, a co-founder of OpenAI before severing his teeth with the company, has been a vocal critic of its transformation into a for-profit entity. In a statement following his bid, Musk framed his move as an effort to restore OpenAI's original mission. It's time for OpenAI to return to the open source, safety-focused first for good it once was. We will make sure that happens, he asserted. His attempted takeover follows ongoing legal action against OpenAI, with Musk arguing that the organization has strayed from its commitment to making AI advancement freely available to the public. The lawsuit and his latest bid underline a growing rift between Musk and OpenAI's leadership over the future of AI development, commercialization, and safety protocols. Well, the power struggle at OpenAI comes at a time when competition in AI is reaching new heights, particularly with the emergence of Chinese AI firms. The recent unveiling of DeepSeek, a Chinese-developed AI model that rivals OpenAI's ChatGPT, has raised alarms in Washington. The model is reportedly more cost-effective than OpenAI's, posing a serious challenge to U.S. dominance in AI innovation. Altman acknowledged the competitive landscape and expressed interest in collaborating with China, though he admitted that geopolitical tensions could complicate such efforts. Should we try as hard as we absolutely can to work with them? Yes, he said. However, U.S. officials have already raised security concerns about Chinese AI firms, with restrictions imposed on DeepSeek and similar platforms on government devices. As AI development accelerates, a fierce debate over regulation has emerged, with tech leaders and policymakers clashing over the best approach. At the Paris AI Summit, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance warned that excessive regulation could stifle innovation, comparing AI's impact to past industrial revolutions. Now, at this moment, we face the extraordinary prospect of a new industrial revolution, one on par with the invention of the steam engine, Vance said. But it will never come to pass if over-regulation deters innovators from taking the risks necessary to advance the ball. His remarks align with Trump's administration's stance on AI, which prioritizes minimizing government interference while ensuring that U.S.-developed AI remains free from ideological bias. Vance emphasized that the government will not impose restrictions on free speech within AI systems, a clear rebuke to proposals for stricter content moderation on AI platforms. With Musk's hostile takeover bid rejected, the future direction of OpenAI remains a point of speculation. While Altman has reaffirmed his commitment to keeping the company independent, Musk's challenge underscores the deepening tensions over AI's commercial and ethical trajectory. Meanwhile, regulatory uncertainty looms as governments struggle to balance technological progress with concerns over safety, competition, and ethical use. As AI continues to reshape industries worldwide, the battle for its control and governance will only intensify. With geopolitical rivalries, corporate power struggles, and regulatory battles all converging, the next phase of AI's evolution is shaping up to be a defining moment in global technology policy. Wow. Coming to the climax of this report, we all know the world keeps evolving and technology keeps shaping the human race. However, the competition and the emergence of AI may never get to an end anytime soon. But then, how are these key players going to manage the competition as the world positions itself for more groundbreaking discoveries? Well, until next time, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's flash news. Remember, we'll be bringing you untold stories on Undaunted ABC Amba TV at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day.